I've been thinking about this series for a long time, so long that it predates my YouTube channel by months. Where do you begin telling one of the greatest stories of Tears of the Kingdom? I think it's only logical for me to start in the same place that the game truly starts, the Forgotten Foundation. I was originally going to cover the inspirations and meaning behind Zonai magic, but that ended up evolving into something so much more broad than I anticipated. Along the way, I uncovered archaeological evidence that has helped me to form a working model of the history of Hyrule and how the Zonai fit inside. That said, I think I've stalled enough. Let's light this torch and dig into the rich, chaotic depth that is the history of Hyrule. The imprisoning chamber, the almost final resting place of Ganondorf, hoisted above his desiccated viscera, the purification unit. The strange device, siphoning evil away from the mummified body of the Demon King, emits a greenish-blue spiral, evidence of the power of Rauru and his sealing magic. That sealing magic appears to have deep roots in Chinese magic, dating back as far as the Zhou period. Taoist sorcery provides an expansive explanation for a lot of the magic that we see in Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know that I could easily cover Taoist magic, but I'd like to at least provide a few key notes about it in order to help convey the importance of the imprisoning chamber. Taoist magic largely hinges on maintaining a balance in nature. To go further, specifically, it means to maintain a balance between heaven, earth, and mankind. Taoist purification rituals focus on restoring that balance. I'd surmised that this is what was going on with the purification unit, and then Hidemaru Fujibayashi confirmed this in an interview with Nintendo Dream. I cover this a little bit in my Zonai Rune series, and I want to highlight that interview. Once more, the King of Light, everyone.
Fujibayashi-san is referring to the Meridian System. The Meridian System is a network of channels in the body, which are paths through which life energy, known as Qi, flows. Meridians date back as far as the Zhou dynasty, and the oldest interpretations show 12 principal meridians and 2 center-line meridians. It's important to note why I was purifying his evil magic instead of attempting to destroy him with violence. The purpose of purification rituals is not to punish the person, but rather to remove the affliction.
Seeing Ganondorf in a semi-permanent state of undeath speaks to the infinite power in the Demon King. Ganondorf, hungry for power, is providing a spiral of sacred light. Speaking of which, when I get hungry, I like to give myself the gift of Goron Rock Roast. If you're looking for a great gift, look no further than Goron Rock Roast. Goron Rock Roast is premium aged pyroclastic rock roast. No late night assembly, no batteries required. Goron Rock Roast is an easy gift to give or receive. Give the gift that's simply perfect. Signature Goron Rock Roast comes ready to go for just 79 rupees per month. When we look at the purification unit itself, we can observe a few things. First, we have the major Zonai relief, labeled within the game's assets as Purification Unit Relief. Next, we can see the typical Zonai circular patterns, which are rooted in Buddhist beliefs around purity, cleansing, and life. Then we've got several constellation patterns running down the sides of the device. You may have noticed that the Zonai relief surrounds various points on these constellations. Keep note of that. Finally, inset into the edges of the lowest part of the device, we have runes. 8 of them, in fact. Now let's compare that to a few Taoist talismans and charms. The most major example of how they relate can be found on this example of a Taoist magic sword, adorned with various carvings known as celestial calligraphy, or by another name, cloud writing. Along the blade, we can see mentions of celestial bodies, such as the sun, moon, and several planets. At the bottom, we have a constellation. Along the opposite side of the blade, we have several elements and seals for various sacred items, such as the mention of the law of the sun, the earth, the 5 peaks, and the 4 rivers. Moving on to the Temple of Time, we can see a few features like we saw on the Purification unit, namely Zonai relief, surrounding the circular seals on the Temple of Time entry door. Given what we know of the events of the game, the temple was moved to the sky to remove it from the reach of Ganondorf. It makes sense to see the door covered in seals and seal elements. They likely exist to keep evil out. This brings me to the layout of other types of Taoist seals and charms. Something you may notice is that there is a similar layout, just like with the Temple of Time door seals. This is not an accident. Each point on the layout represents an element, with 5 of the points representing wood, fire, earth, water, and metal. In the case of Tears of the Kingdom, I would suppose that they represent the powers of the sages. It's important to note that each point on the door of the Temple of Time doesn't have any easy-to-identify secret stone symbols. This is possibly on purpose, given that the power of each stone is merely an amplified power within each sage. While not related to this examination, I want to call out a few things about the layout pattern of the seals on the door on the Temple of Time. Notice that the top 3 seals are interconnected via the relief, while the bottom 4 are only somewhat connected to one another. One has to wonder, is this a reference to the Triforce? It's impossible to know for sure, but one thing is clear. The mysterious Zonai were just as magically inclined as they are scientifically inclined. This parallel is unsurprising. Taoist shamans often observed and made scientific predictions about the world and the cosmos. In fact, it was a Taoist shaman that first proposed that humans were made of stardust and water. This proposal would have been at a time when humanity did not have a concept of stardust. The parallels don't stop there. It was a shamanic king in ancient China that also divined the sacred spiral magic sequence. In Taoist metaphysics, the spiral sequence represents the force that both creates and is responsible for the expansion of the universe. The Zonai spirals of light are a great metaphor for bringing nature back into balance because of the symbolism of how the spiral relates to the origins of the cosmos. It's almost like a great big signal that says this evil is being transformed back into the sacred energy responsible for the formation of existence. It's also worth noting that the story itself has roots in Taoist philosophy. There is a notion in Taoism that you cannot create something good without creating something evil, and you cannot create something evil without creating something good. At a time when the kingdom witnessed the birth of the Demon King, we see Rauru, Sonia, Zelda, and the sages rise up to balance that great evil. We see it again with the great evil tree in Gloom's origin as a parallel to the great Deku tree. One has to wonder, can Taoist principles explain why we have so many inversions of the world as we know it? The fragments of Zonai magic provide us with a glimpse into the goings-on of their daily life. It paints a picture of a deeply magical people that lived in harmony with nature. I hope you enjoyed this brief look at Zonai magic and the cultural inspiration behind it. If you'd like me to cover more topics like this, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining me, and remember to stay magical, my friends.